Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another weekly segment of our NFL picks as we get ready here for week number 10. I am Chad M, joined by
Emily Nerland, and we were 5-1 last
3-0,
week.
perfect. I told you guys I would make up for the previous poor weeks. Now we finally have my record back up over 500, and that's where it's going to remain for the rest of the season. So we're going to get things started off here with our number one selection, which actually me and Emily both agree on now. Our reasons are a little bit different, but nonetheless, it will be the Detroit Lions here as short road favorites against Minnesota. And this has all to do with the fact that Detroit is a far superior team on both sides of the football right now. They're on fire, having won 3 out of their last 4. Minnesota has lost 3 in a row. Their hot start was something that was absolutely fluky. Detroit's finally starting to get it going in the passing game. We saw it start with Seattle, a good defensive team a few weeks ago. They pumped Jacksonville last week. Minnesota just absolutely getting annihilated, and this is a revenge game from earlier in the year. And even back in that first game when Minnesota won, they had 2 punt returns, and they didn't even score a touchdown for the rest of the game. And that's when Detroit's offense was not in sync. Now it is. And, when you think of Detroit, you think of this weak defense that they supposedly have. They're ranked 5th in the NFL in defense. They're getting tremendous pressure on the quarterback right now. And their one sort of weakness, you might still want to say that's there, is the secondary. Well, Christian Ponder, in 4 of his last 5 games, has thrown for 70 yards or less. So I don't expect him to be exposing any of those deficiencies when his mind is more on what's going to be going on with Samantha Steele after the football game than throwing the ball to, oh wait, Percy Harvin? No, he's not playing this week. And Adrian Peterson, he's banged up. Their 2 best offensive playmakers aren't going to be in the lineup. Detroit absolutely murders them in this game.
I don't think anyone's blaming Ponder for having his mind on Samantha Steele, but they're definitely on their way down, and the Kitty Cat Lions are on their way up, which is why I definitely agree with your pick. My first pick is going to be a West Coast team, Norv's Chargers, headed to Tampa Bay. It's a West Coast team traveling east, early game. It's already not looking good. Rivers is a joke. This team hasn't been able to pull it together, and then they're playing against the Muscle Hamster. Worst name in sports, but this freshman running back, Doug Martin, is killing it. He's not going to put up the same yards he has been able to put up, but you have to say that Freeman is actually making a campaign for himself. He's kind of having a
Plus
renaissance.
Vincent Jackson, he's going to stick it to the Chargers.
Yeah, and so if you're thinking that they're giving only a field goal, which is their home field advantage alone, you have to like Tampa Bay at their home field advantage, taking this by at least more than a field goal.
I agree. They're a better team, and if there's one team that's going to be unprepared for these tough spots, it's going to be Norv Turner coach football team. Now, my second pick this week is actually going to be a total, which I expect to be an absolute shootout in the Baltimore-Oakland game. I was shocked when this number came out in the mid-40s. Personally, I thought it would be in the high 40s. The main reason for it is the fact that Baltimore plays way better offensively at home. In particular, Ray Rice really gets it going on. Oakland is the worst run defense in the league. You just talked about your boy, the hamster there, running all over them last week. That will continue here. Flacco gets in more of that rhythm at home. Oakland can't stop anybody. I see Baltimore scoring at least 27, 28, if not over 30 points. Oakland's offense is bad, but it's not atrocious. The fact that McFadden's injured is going to force him to throw the ball more, get off more plays, and Palmer, for every great touchdown that he throws, and he often gets a little bit of a rally when this team falls behind, which they probably will here, you can also expect a couple of pick sixes. I see this game easily getting into the 50s, so I love the over in that game.
The Titans are going to Miami. They're going to go hit up South Beach, playing against the Dolphins. Dolphins are 3rd in the NFL in run defense, playing against Chris Johnson, who only figured out how to run for about 1 game this year. He can't get anything done anyway. Jake Locker back in the lineup. Who knows what he's going to be able to do? It's going to be a question mark. No one knows what his timing is like with them. If Hasselbeck has to go back in, there's going to be cadence off. You don't really know what they can do offensively. The Finns have been strong offensively. They've been sound. They're going to be able to get things going. Reggie Bush can go off, pull off his USC days, maybe have a deflated ball under his arm, take it into the end zone. I think I like the Finns by a touchdown in this game.
Okay, and my final pick here is going to be an NFC South showdown. The 2 rivals We've got Atlanta heading to New Orleans, and I was shocked when Atlanta came out favored in this game. Now, I understand that they're undefeated and they're playing terrific football, but let's not overlook New Orleans quite yet. They have won 3 out of their last 4 football games. All the early season struggles appear to be behind them. I think there's a little bit more cohesion now that Joe Vitt is taking over as the head coach, and you got to think that New Orleans still has a belief that they have a chance to make the playoffs if they maybe only lose one more game. And, on their home field, this is a team that's 14-3 against the spread and straight up in their last 17 games. Last year, they absolutely annihilated Atlanta 45-17. They went 2-0 straight up against them. They have a tremendous amount of success against them in this series. So if there's anybody that's going to knock them off, it's going to be the Saints here, especially when you look at Atlanta. They've only beaten one team with the winning record all year, which was Denver, and that's when Peyton Manning was having some interception problems earlier in the year. They're an absolute anomaly from a statistical standpoint, as they are the only team that has let alone a winning record, undefeated record, where they're actually giving up more yards than they're actually gaining. I look for New Orleans in that high-flying offense to expose some of that weak secondary. I think that their defense has played a little bit better recently. They've created some turnovers, and I think that Atlanta's running game isn't quite as good as it was before. Turner's getting beat down. They become one-dimensional. The crowd goes berserk in New Orleans. Saints should not be an underdog in this spot here. They win outright, so grab all the points you can get.
For my final pick, I'm going to be picking 2 teams that have been playing great football. The Houston Texans playing against the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. I have to say, if this were a pick'em, you have to go with Houston at this point. The fact that they can get a running game going, that Bears defense is solid. But Jay Cutler does not know how to play big against big teams. And please, someone tell me who is going to stop J.J. Watt. I don't think anybody can. If they're getting pressure on him, I think that Cutler is going to be throwing multiple interceptions. And all they can really have been able to profit off this year is the turnover margin in their favor.
And you got to figure in this game here that a team like Houston's going to be more responsible, and they're not going to turn the ball over.
Well, Houston actually has only turned the ball over 6 times. Really? It's the league's lowest. So you can't expect that from them. So sorry, Cuddy. I don't think he's going to cut it, and I'm going to have to pick Houston.
That offensive line is going to get murdered by the defensive players on Houston. I like that pick as well. So that wraps up our Week 10 NFL picks. Just to quickly recap, we've got the Detroit Lions, short road favorites under a field goal, approximately in that range. We got the over in the Baltimore-Oakland game. The Saints as underdogs at home for myself. And Emily, you have?
I have Tampa Bay by at least a field goal. I have the Fins taking it by a touchdown. And I have Houston winning.
We'll see you guys back here for Week 11 for more winning picks. And make sure, if you guys want to come and challenge us or even bet against us on these picks, you can do that by signing up at BetHubb.com. Just follow the link below. Get your account started. If you already have one, you know what to do. You can create your own lines, challenges your friends. Make sure to cash in on the bonuses and have a good time when you're watching football on Sunday afternoon with a little bit of extra cash riding on these games.